Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlaw, and Riley Finch. Riley, 7 games played, 5 defeats, 1 win. Yeah, and that's right, isn't it? 1 win is it 1 win this season? Christ
It
Almighty!
is one. It is 1 win, mate.
And
Yeah.
1 win and 1 draw. I mean, it's 4 points from 7 matches. I think realistically, we can't deny this anymore. This is a disastrous start to the season. Really is a bad start, and it's actually creeping away from being a start now. I mean, we're quite a fair way into the season now. We're coming to match 8 against Wolves in a couple of weeks' time. And obviously now, and like we said, we did highlight this a little while ago on a video, and we said that if we don't start getting results in fast, the tension's going to start turning on Moyes, and that's exactly what's happened. And I dare I say it, mate, rightly so. Like you can't live on the past. You can't live on, well, I did quite well last couple of seasons. That's great, but we're in this season now. I think we've had enough time of this bedding in that he keeps claiming to, and getting players settled and all that. Well, other clubs don't to be struggling with that and getting new players in. They're playing very well and firing. What's going on, mate? I mean, first of all, do you want to see David Moyes remain in his job, or are you kind of on the side of thinking, I've had enough and I want to see a change?
Well, there's a couple of things to think about with that question, mate. It's not very straightforward. I mean, number one, if we sack David Moyes today, he's done. He's out. Who are we going to get in to replace him? Is the biggest thing for me. Because if you said to me, Poch or Tuchel or someone like that would come to the club, I'd have David Moyes out tomorrow. To be honest with you,
Okay.
but I just think the level of manager we can attract right now, I don't think those two managers are someone we could actually feasibly bring in. So then you look at other options, Bielsa, Rodgers, Nagelsmann or Klinsmann or whatever it is. They're risky. They're as risky as Moyes is. So from that standpoint, I'm Moyes in at the moment. I am. But I think if he plays the same 11 against Wolves, I don't know how to defend him anymore. I mean, I've had to defend him over the last couple of years because I think people are very harsh on him. And yeah, he's a bit stubborn. Yeah, he doesn't make the right choices all the time. But overall, he's a great manager. He knows what the game's about. He's brought us to the level he has. I see everyone on Twitter saying things like, oh, we need someone to take us to the next level. I'm like, Moyes has already brought us to the next level. We just need someone who's going to keep us consistently at the level he's brought us to. Because the next level for us would be like Champions League football, for instance. So from that standpoint, I am Moyes in, but my patience is like running very thin. It's very hard to defend him these days. If he plays the same team that he put out against Everton, against Wolves, I honestly think it's time for him to go. The only part of me that says I'll back Moyes, I'll trust in Moyes, is if I see a decently drastic change after the international break to show that he has got fresh ideas, he has got fresh tactics. I mean, X reported at the start of the window, didn't he, that he wanted to move to a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
If we see something like that from him after the international break, I'm fully behind him, even if he's not getting the results. But if he's just going to put out the same 11, then he's obviously just got to go because he's just out of ideas.
Yeah, it's as you say, it's a really complex situation, this. And first of all, if we let's start with what you've just said there in terms of selection and sort of team lineups and things like that. So yes, you're right. I think the situation with Everton game is that he tried to put out a team that he trusts. I think that's his biggest problem was he's got this real trust issue with certain players. I don't know why. I don't know what the reason is behind it, but he's always never trusted Ben-Rama. He never will for whatever reason. Doesn't matter how well that guy plays, he doesn't trust him. He clearly doesn't trust Flynn Downs. I have no idea why. I think Flynn Downs proved beforehand he took his opportunity, got a man of the match performance in one performance for West Ham, but yet again doesn't get a look in, doesn't get near the pitch. I don't know why. So that for me is a real gripe for me with Moyes. I don't know why he keeps picking players based on trust rather than how well they're playing and what they bring to the side. He seems to trust Souček over Downs clearly and other players. Souček's been really, really poor now for a long time. We've talked about it enough on this on our channel and said that he needs to be dropped. But for whatever reason, it doesn't matter how bad that man plays, he's on that team sheet every week. This is what's, I think, my frustration mainly surrounding David Moyes at the moment. The other thing that's really bugging me with David Moyes at the moment, as well, with these new players, he contradicts himself for me so much of the time. He keeps suggesting that players need all this time to bed in, and need time to get used to the league, and this takes a lot. This is a long process. Well, I'm not really a big buyer into that. Really, I don't. End of the day, he didn't meet the guy on the bus and then brought him in and go, right, you're going to play for West Ham today. You know, these are professional footballers, athletes that have been training all their lives to play football. So I don't really buy into this idea that it takes us such a long period of time to get used to it. But I do understand that you might want to give them a little bit gently. But at the end of the day, we haven't got the time for that. And other clubs don't really seem to be doing that. Other players bring them in and they play and they're doing
I think
well.
he's confused. I think he's confused between, when you put a player in, I think he's right. They need time to bed into the side, but you can't bed into the side if you're on the sidelines. You need to bed into the side in the starting 11. I think what he's saying
Yeah.
is like, Scamacca's not going to come in and score 10, 15 goals straight away, and that's fair enough. But, if you want to bed him into the side, you don't do it on the sidelines or in training. You do it by playing them. That's what everyone's frustrated about. I get that he's saying, you need to give these players time to settle in and stuff, and that's fair enough if they're playing and not putting in like 10 out of 10 performances, you can understand that. But he's not even playing them. So that's the problem. Why have you bought these players? And if you're going to bed them in, play them. It just doesn't make any sense.
And also, the other thing that contradicts what he's saying there, he's suggesting that, well, they won't be able to fit in. It would take a long time. Well, Kira's a prime example of this. He had to play him because we lost Diop and we had an injury crisis at the back. So he had no option but to put Kira straight in. And he's been our best player pretty much of the season so far. So it's total rubbish that these players aren't ready and they can't cope. A lot of players can cope. They're probably better if you just get them involved. As you say, I just don't understand it. And I mean, if when we're looking at that, and in selection-wise, I can't understand Souček one. That is really puzzling me. I just do not understand how that man keeps getting picked.
He's got to be sacked. If he picks Souček after the international break, he's got to be sacked. There's no way.
His performance against Everton was horrific, like so bad. Again, no changes. Flynn down sitting on the bench, nothing changes. I don't know what he's seeing.
He played 90 minutes, mate. I couldn't believe it. Mate. 90 minutes with that man on the pitch. I couldn't believe it.
No,
honestly, I was screaming in my television. I couldn't believe that pass in the 85th minute for me. I mean,
yeah.
Look,
mate, it just sums Souček up. Yeah, when he's hitting it behind Zuma. I mean, you see Rice's reaction. Like, literally, you can see he wants to throttle him. It's exhausting, and it's the same with Soufal. Now, Soufal's a little bit different because I think he's got a little bit of a predicament there in terms of injury. But you just know for a fact that even if we had Ben Johnson available, you'd probably be picking him anyway.
John Benson.
I just don't. I genuinely don't understand what Moyes is seeing and why he's got so much trust in these certain players that have been so bad. They've let him down badly. I'm struggling with it, really am.
Jared Bowen, another one as well.
Bowen, another one. Again, another really poor performance from him. I really cannot put my finger on what is going on with Bowen at the moment. I mean, he's since last season. I mean, if we had 2 very good seasons out of Bowen, he's been one of our consistently good players. He looks a shadow of that player this season. He struggled. He doesn't really look interested. I don't know whether he's had his head turned elsewhere or what, but something's not right. And then obviously you've got the situation with Scamacca. And I'd hate to say this, and I don't want to jump on that bandwagon really, but you do get the feeling this is like Hilaire Mark II. It just feels like that. Like he doesn't fit our system very well. It does something we don't. The problem is with Moyes' lineups, we don't change, we don't adapt, we don't sort of go right. He's playing, we're going to have to play a different system here. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, mate. I don't really know what.
You shouldn't have to do that, though. You shouldn't have to do that, though. We shouldn't bring in players that have to adapt to the system, or bring in players and then have to adapt them to our system. You just bring in players who fucking fit the system.
Absolutely,
it's so simple. I don't understand why there's this whole debate on it.
Another Mikel Antonio. I know they're rare, but that's what you'd be looking for. I want a fast-paced, powerful striker that's going to run defenders ragged, going to bully them. That's what I want, because then I can alternate with him and Mick games. Why would you bring in someone that's completely different? That goes, well, actually, I don't really do all that. I actually want the ball to my feet. I'm a bit of a classy, a bit of a Rolls Royce sized player. We don't need that. We've had that with Hilaire. It didn't fit. It didn't work, and we've done it again. And I don't want to write off Scamacca because he's a good player, and I know he's good. I just get that feeling again that we just put another player in that doesn't fit our system. Like he's kind of looks lost when we're playing. I don't. And the other thing with Moyes, which is driving me bonkers, is one, why does he always react after we've conceded? Why doesn't he look at the team and think, right, well, this isn't working, we're not playing well enough, we want to win this game. At half time, I'm going to ring the changes, or even earlier, ring the changes, make some changes. Why does he always sit? Oh, Everton has scored, right, now I'm going to start making things happen. I just don't get it. And then what does me frustrates me more is the fact that with the substitutions he makes, are always like for like. So it's like, I'm going to take a striker off, put another striker on. I'm going to take a left winger off, put left winger on. It's like, there's nothing really changes. It's just the same setup. It's so frustrating, and I'm getting concerned. Like, do you know what I mean? Like everyone else, I don't want to get too caught up in panic mode, but facts are facts, mate. I mean, bloody hell, this is a big season. Part of the season's gone already, and we are in a relegation battle. And if we don't win sort of the next 3 out of 4 games, which is, let's be honest, we're not going to do that. We're in massive trouble, like real big trouble, because I mean, everyone's saying, well, if you look at our run of games now, there's some winnable fixtures. That's true, but we've only won 2 in the last 14 Premier League games and lost 9 out of 14. So to suddenly ask a team to go, well, go and win your next 4 games on the spin and you'll be fine. It's like, it's impossible.
Yeah, but the only way you're doing that is with fresh faces or fresh tactics, mate. And that's that's what's going to bring us on to our next point, which is, what would you like to see from the international break? What does David Moyes, what systems does he need to play?
Right. So, I mean, I don't really mind our lineup. I don't mind our system as such, but I think it's the players in it. I'm quite happy to stick
Really?
with what we've got. Yeah, I'm not too just. I mean, I actually
Oh, I
don't
don't
mind our
know.
system. Honestly,
I think that
I really
people
don't.
just figured this out though, have they not? Like the low block system, sit deep and then counter attack. Like they just know how we play now. They know to stick a man on Bowen. They know he's going to cut inside. They know what we do on the left. They know the overlaps coming from Creswell. They just they know how we play. I think we just need a whole fresh face of tactics.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I don't think I'm not saying that I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't mind the back 5 option, having the wing backs. The problem is though, we don't really have any decent fullbacks. I mean, all right, Emerson doesn't look too bad. He's pretty good going forward. I wouldn't mind that. But would you trust Sofal with that role? I don't think I would.
Mate,
I don't
Ashby
know
comes in, he's the perfect wing back. If Ashby
play
comes
again.
in,
Who's that?
if Ashby comes in, he's the perfect wing back.
Yeah, he could well be, but again, he's quite young, a bit naive. I don't know. I mean, this is the only problem. And this is, I was talking to a friend of mine. Funny enough, he actually works for West Ham, and he was saying like we are a club that's been screaming out for decent fullbacks for a long time. It's actually kind of part of the modern day. If you look at most decent top level clubs, they've got very good fullbacks, and it's something we never really invest in. We never really
Isn't
look at.
Emerson
We're
our
always obsessed
record
with other positions.
fullback?
Eh?
Isn't Emerson like our record signing of a fullback?
I think he is, but again, I mean,
Like
you look
12
at
million. I'm pretty sure he's like the most we've ever spent on a fullback.
I mean, which is quite worrying, considering the fact it's a very key position on the pitch, and we don't really invest in it. And it's
No.
always like the same with goalkeepers. We've always kind of, tried to do the bargain buckets with goalkeepers, which again is a really important position on the pitch, and we always never really seem to invest in it well enough. Okay, we've done okay in the last few years goalkeeper-wise, but fullbacks, I don't know why we never look at. And so I think if you're going to play the back 5, you need really 2 very good fullbacks that are going to, be very fast up and down the wings. And I don't think we've really got it. I mean, Emerson might be able to fit that mold, but it's questionable in terms of going back. But for me, I want to see Bowen benched. I really want to see Souček benched. I'd like to see Sufal get rid of, to be honest. I'm just so tired of seeing him play at the moment. He's dreadful. And yeah, that's what I'd like to see. And I want to see Cornet play and Ben Rama. I think having those 2 either side of Paqueta would be quite an exciting lineup in midfield.
Is that enough though? Because look at the way we built from the back in the Everton game. We were awful, mate. We just couldn't get a pass into the midfield. And even when we did,
No.
I mean, Souček is a big reason because of that. Like, even when we talk about the pass that he did in the 85th minute, it's bad enough that he's passed it and missed. But why is he passing backwards? It's 85th minute. Like, you're our number 8. You're a progressive midfielder. You're supposed to be going forward, driving forward, passing the ball forward. Like, why are you passing backwards? Flim Downs did that so many times when he played against Bucharest. Take the ball like Rice would and just drive forward, pass it forward, intercept the play, cut the passing lanes. Souček for me is the guy who's just finished. Look, he's a really nice guy, and he, no questions asked. He gives everything for the badge and all that sort of stuff. But I'm sorry, he's shit. Right now, he's not at it at all. And whether he needs a little break or a fresh move or whatever it is, I don't know. But I do not want to see him near that lineup for the next, at least the Premier League. And I want to see him in the Premier League lineup for a very long time.
No, I'm with you, mate. And like you, I like Thomas Souček because I like his attitude and the way and let's be honest, when he came to the club, we were in a bad place, and when he joined, it was a breath of fresh air. He changed everything. I don't know what's happened to him. There's a lot of players that are underperforming, but he has been so poor for so long now, and you can just see as well. Rice doesn't need this. Like, he needs someone next to him that he can trust, and he don't trust Thomas Souček, and rightly so. He's terrible. I agree. As I say, I'm not too bothered too much about the actual system. I think the system can still work. I just think it's the players that aren't performing very well, and we need some freshening up. We need some excitement. Players that are actually going to attack. I think, like for me, so that would be my suggestion. I would say if we're going to line up against Wolves, I'd like to see Scamacca start. The reason I'd like to see Scamacca start is because I'd like to have Antonio on the bench as an impact sub. It clearly worked well when we did it before in the Europa League, in the Conference League. I thought it made such a big difference. Him coming on fresh is just amazing for the last like 40 minutes, half an hour. I mean, the defenders, it's just a nightmare for them to deal with. So I'd definitely do that. I'd have Downs in for Souček. I'd have Bowen. I'd drop for Cornet, and I'd have Fornals off for Benrahma. And at least I think you've got a bit of attacking presence. You've got players that actually will get the ball and go, do you know what, I'm going to run at you. I'm going to make things happen. Because at the moment, we don't have that. Fornals, I mean, another one I think is a bit questionable at the moment. I can't quite work him out. I can't work out whether I like him or not. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes I watch him, I think, yeah, he's got really something about him. He does work hard. But again, like we've had him now for a few seasons, and he doesn't really seem to be pushing on for me for now. You know, like he came with so much promise of being like this young, exciting Spaniard that was going to light up the league a little bit, but he hasn't really done it. And I'm not knocking because I still like to keep Fornals. I do like him, but again, he hasn't been great for me. He hasn't been that great, and I would like to see some fresh. I want to see some excitement out on the pitch, some players that actually want to challenge and want to go and score some goals and make things happen. Because at the moment we just don't have it. I don't know. I mean, Bowen's lost that spark. I don't know why, but that was the changes I would make. Definitely. How about you then? If you could do the lineup then for the Wolves game, what's your thoughts?
Mate, I'm going drastic. I mean, look, pre-season, as reported by X, on Patreon, he said that David Moyes wanted to go to a 3-4-3 or a 3-back. I think now's the time to do it. I honestly feel like we should be opting for the Spurs model. And I know, obviously, we don't want to copy and paste tactics and such, but I think Scamacca can fit that Harry Kane role of sort of dropping a little bit deeper, and it will allow him to get more into the game. He's also got a great shot outside the box, as we've seen before. He's not the kind of guy where you want to feed it into the box for him and he's going to finish it. He's the type of guy who's going to pick the ball on the edge of the box and just absolutely thunder it to the top corner. We literally saw it last week in Europa League, and he's got a highlight reel of him doing it so much in Italy. I think his passing is really good as well. He's going to be someone to aim for as well. He's so bad at just getting the ball from the back line to the front line. He's someone to aim for and play off. You've then got Paqueta and Rice in the midfield. That gives Paqueta the freedom to play off Scamacca and play off a striker. Almost sort of like a midfield three. In such, but obviously he's not going to be that deep. And then you've got Cornet on the left. He's direct like Son. He's going to create space for the fullbacks such as Emerson, who's going to sort of use the channels. And then if we go Benrahma or Bowen on the right, I mean, that gives us two different dimensions. We've got Soufal, who, by the way, is piss poor going forward. So if he's just like the Emerson type right back, where he's just going to kind of occupy the space, stay on the edge of the box for the ball. And then we have we've got the three centre backs who, you could say, if Aged's back, I mean, go for Aged, obviously. If he's not, Tilo Kehrer, Zuma, and, Dawson or Ogbonna. I mean, Dawson would also give us more of a threat from corners. And, I just think, 3-back is something we played in early days under Moyes when we had our breakthrough season, and we looked amazing. We looked really, really good. And I actually think sort of 3-backs are kind of the future of football at the moment. I think Spurs out-tactic and outclass so many big teams because they're able to just overload those wings. And if you're playing a 4-back, it's so hard to deal with that kind of thing. Chelsea do the exact same thing. Wolves, when they were playing at peak, do the exact same thing. And Brighton do a similar thing as well. I think it is the future of football. I really, really want to see this from Moyes. And I think it fits in Scamacca, it fits in Cornet's strengths. It allows Paqueta to have a little bit more freedom, fits in the fullbacks. And, our defence is quite good, but we need to utilise our ball-playing defenders to go quickly into the midfield. And you can easily have someone like Kehrer in the transition, pushing up a little bit further, playing a DM role. So, I know there's a lot of words and stuff to people, but personally, that's the kind of thing I want to see Moyes doing.
No, I actually think I don't think it's a bad argument at all. And I think you're right. I mean, the fact that we've utilised that previously under Moyes and it has worked well, it shows that he can operate that system. I mean, something's got to change, mate, and we know that. And because it's becoming a crisis, like we are a club in crisis at the moment. We've talked about obviously the player situation and the formation, and it doesn't even seem like things are very great off the pitch either. Do you know what I mean? Things don't seem right. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but it does feel like the changes that we've had at the club, changing of captain, we've had lost Stuart Pearce, and a lot of changes, I think, have had a real knock to the club. And
fresh faces, maybe, is sort of. We've always championed our dressing room and the spirit. Do you think they've kind of come in and maybe not gelled as much, or I don't know.
I mean, you feel like we're a club in transition, which is I get that, and it's like anywhere, isn't it? It's like your work. If you went to work, I mean, I know you work at a bar, and it's like you're going in tomorrow and saying, oh, half the team's been changed by somebody else, and the new backroom staff's changed. It would have a little time to adjust. I'm not saying that it would be you never would notice it; it'd be fine. So I do get that, but at the end of the day, like, so what? You know, I mean, we've got to deal with this now. We've got to start getting some results because we've been really poor. One thing that's really worried me, mate, was some of the stats I've been reading.
Mm.
I mean, the stats aren't great reading at the moment anyway. If you just look at this table, they're quite horrendous. But even down to like running and tackling, and we're right down the bottom of the league. And this is like what David Moyes is like known for. This is like when he came in the second time, take over Pellegrini. I remember him saying, like, you know, I want players to run for me. You work hard. And that's really what I think's got us over the line for a lot of games of the last couple of years, is that we just seem fitter than most teams. We could go the extra mile, and we just seem to be able to just take teams to the very end and nick goals and or see out matches because of our fitness levels, we seem so much better. This time around, we look terrible against Everton. We look tired. I know you might say, well, yeah, because they haven't played for a couple of weeks and you've just played in Europe. Well, we didn't have a problem last season with playing Thursdays and Sundays. We looked pretty good. We seemed to cope with it all right.
Do you think
I
he's
mean,
lost the dressing room?
I don't know. I don't really know. It's something's not right, and I do worry that. Well, I'd like to know what the relationship like is between Rice and Moyes. I wonder if it's that positive. It doesn't appear to be, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm just misreading it, but you do get the feeling that something's not quite right at the club at the moment, and it needs sorting out. And dare I say it, mate, I think this is only going one way. I hate to say that because I love David Moyes and what he's done to our football club, but rarely ever do you see managers in this position and then you fast forward 6 months and go, wow, we're doing amazing now. He's turned it around. Usually it's only going one way. I'd love him to turn it around. I'd love him to stick it to the fans and everybody that wants him. I don't, because I don't want David Moyes gone. I don't. But I'd love him to turn it around, prove me wrong and say, actually, I've got it right. Like, it just needed a bit of time and look at us flying now. And he has kind of alluded to that. He kept saying that over the last few weeks that, you know, things are starting to gel and we're getting close now to getting back where we were. But you're thinking, no, we're not. We're not. Nowhere near it. Like, Everton game for me was a must win. Declan Rice before the game was saying, much like he said after the game, this is, you know, we've got to start doing our talking on the pitch and we're going to work really hard. That's all great. I love hearing all that. But at the end of the day, when you then see the performance again and it's shit, you can thinking, well, I don't really want to keep hearing that we're now going to go away and work really hard. And you just think, just get on the pitch and put a decent performance in. And obviously, it's not Declan's fault because he's playing well as always. But yeah, there is serious concerns, and I think Wolves. I mean, it's a cup final now, isn't it? I mean, we've just got to win that football match. Yeah.
I mean, how many games are you giving him before you're saying we've got to get someone else in, mate? And to be honest, who is that someone else?
I think, what are we now? So we're 7 games in. I've always said for years to myself that after 8 to 10 games, you usually tell where the season's going on the table. So the fact this is our 8th game, I would say I'd offer him maybe 3 more matches then to take him to the 10.
Is that just Premier League matches?
Yeah. So I would say Premier League games, you've got 10 matches, you've got 3 games to turn it around. But I would say, as the board, out of the next 3 games, I want to see 2 wins and a draw. I don't want any more defeats. We've got to win these games. We've got to get some results. And let's be honest, mate, we should be winning them. Like, we've got Wolves at home. That's a winnable game. It's not as if we're putting him a hard challenge in front of him. Like we're saying, well, you've got Man City and Liverpool coming up. We haven't. We've got some games that you can get some results. So I think it's Fulham, isn't it? After that as well. So
yeah, Fulham and then Southampton after that. I mean, Fulham. Yeah. I think Fulham are really, really good at the moment. Like pre-season, you said that's 9 points, but Fulham are playing really well. I think a draw at Fulham is actually quite a good result. But yeah, Wolves has got to be a win. They're literally just behind us, and Southampton's
got to be a win. That would be my challenge to Moyes. That's what I would say, that he needs to get those results now, and he needs to relay that to the players that these are the points we must accumulate for him to stay in the job. Because otherwise we're in trouble, mate. Otherwise we're not going to get Europe this season, mate. We're probably going to be in a relegation battle. And I don't for 1 minute think we're going to go down, but this feels like a massive step back, doesn't it? This season so far, it just feels like European football again feels light years away. I mean, I cannot see us getting anywhere near top 6 at the moment at all. Like, I mean, I'd be surprised. At the moment, I'd take 10th. You know what I mean? If we can get finished 10th this season, I'd take it, because at the moment we've been shit. Which is really sad, because at the beginning of the season, I think we were all kind of talking top 6, or maybe hopefully we might have a challenge for top 4, but we're not. We're miles from that, like miles from it. What do you think in terms of Moyes? Do you think give him the season, give him till Christmas, or you think we're talking a number of games?
Oh, mate, it's difficult with me because, like, at the end of the day, like I said, like, and it's a funny thing, you look at Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. I think Leicester would have David Moyes and we'd have Brendan Rodgers, but both managers have been so bad. So you just think, does changing the manager, is that going to fix everything? So I look at it from that standpoint, because like I said to you earlier, if Poch or Tuchel said they
Yeah.
come to West Ham, you take them in a heartbeat, mate. But don't
I
know.
mean, the only one that's possible for me is Tuchel, and the only reason I say that
He's
is
not.
because
He's just not.
the only reason I say that though is because I know for a fact he's very settled in London. He really loved London. He had no plans to want to leave Chelsea. He even said he wanted to be there for many years. I think his family really like London. So the only way you could possibly spin it to get him in is one, say, well, look, you'd stay in London. You haven't got to move anywhere. Your family is settled. Two, give him a hell of a budget for the next summer. Say, look, we'll build around you. And three, obviously, give him you have to match the wages of the top clubs and say we'll pay you, a couple £100,000 a week, whatever it is. I don't know what they earn at these clubs effectively. So I think if we could do that, he might be one that we possibly could get, only on that basis that he might think, well, actually, it's not a bad gig. He might fancy it. And also we've got European football, so that's another seller to him. But again, as you say, it's a tall order because he's an elite manager, so it'd have to take a lot of money, I think, to sway him.
I don't think we're going to spend big next summer anyway. I don't think GSB could ever promise that. He doesn't want to inherit a squad. He wants an established squad that he can put his mark on and implement his vision into. He's not going to want to sort of be in a rebuild kind of phase. I don't know. I just don't see it.
I agree. I think, don't get me wrong, it's a tall order, but I think it's achievable. I genuinely think it's achievable. I think we could get him, but it would be, let's be honest, we'd have to pull out all the stops to get him. It wouldn't be a case if he just jumped ship, jump straight into West Ham. I think it'd take quite a lot of convincing. It cost us a lot of money.
I personally think, because the board have backed Moyes, it's his squad, it's his players. I think give him to at least till January, just to feel out his squad. See, I mean, look, if the next couple of games he's playing Souček, he's playing Bowen, he's not making any changes. Like, it's clear that it's only going one direction. Sack him. I'm more behind that. But if next game we see a 4-3-3 from him, we see Downs come in, we see a 3-4-3 come in, we see that he's actually trying to make a change and implement some things. Don't forget we've had slightly unlucky injuries of Ben Johnson, Aged as well coming in. So for me, I think give him till January. But if the results don't come and he's changed his tactics and he's had that chance and it's still crap in January, get someone else in. But I think right now, you're not looking at a greater manager coming in. And I just think just give him a chance to change things. If it's clear after 3 games he's not changing anything, then all for it, get him out.
I agree with that. Look, at the end of the day, David Moyes has been brilliant for West Ham. There's no denying that, and I don't want to see him go. I'd love him to turn it around, and I think he can. I genuinely think he can turn this around. Although I did say earlier, you kind of know where these are going. I think I can't see him being here long term now. I think this is proving to be a bit of a problem, unless he really can turn it around. Is what we hope.
Well, worrying thing is the same sort of thing happened at Everton for him, didn't it?
Yeah, and also we've got to bear in mind as well. I remember some seasons it's Everton where he started very badly. He used to have quite a notorious record of doing that, starting the seasons quite slowly, and then he got into season and ended up doing quite well. I mean, he doesn't seem a man that's stressed. When he was talking after the game, he actually seemed quite relaxed about the whole thing and didn't seem too phased. And
he was joking about the whole Moisey thing, wasn't he? He seemed quite
I don't think he's threatened. I think he feels quite comfortable that things are going to turn around. And if that is the case, great. But
is that a bit worrying for you though? Because surely, if I was David Moyes right now, I mean, I don't know if he reads Twitter or does whatever, but I'd be terrified of my job, and I think I've got to do something here before I lose the dressing room, before I lose the fans, before I lose the the board. But if he seems comfortable with the way we're playing right now, then that would actually quite worry me.
Yeah, that's the other thing that did strike me as well. Like, I was thinking, I'd be angry after that performance, very angry with the players and angry with what's going on at the situation. But he actually seemed quite relaxed, but I don't know whether that's just a way to sort of, because I think he expects the fact pressure is going to start coming onto his shoulders, or the papers are going to start talking. So maybe that's his way of just deflecting it, so to sort of say I'm not worried. But at the end of the day, West Ham, you can only give so much certain amount of time. It doesn't matter how well you've done recently. You can't. In the day, Declan Rice alluded to that. It's great. We've done really 2 great seasons, but that's just memories now. We can't live on that. We've got to now start thinking about where we are now, and that's completely right. West Ham are not going to spend £200 million on players and then just go, yeah, don't worry about it. See how we get on. Not to worry. That they're expecting. They would have been looking at this season thinking we want to be competing for top 6 football, 100%. So I do think he's got a certain amount of games to turn this around. And let's be honest, if we lose the next 2 Premier League games, he'll probably be sacked. probably.
Yeah,
If we lose to Wolves and then lose to Fulham, he'll be sacked. I
it's,
can't
yeah,
see how they'd
yeah.
survive. He could survive that. You
It's, mate,
can't
it's like
lose.
you're always saying it. It's a results-based business. If you're not getting the results, then you know
Mm.
your days are numbered.
It is, but mate, let's hope he turns this around because I'd love Moyes to do that. I'd love him to just prove it all wrong and just say, no, look, it was all in hand. It just needed a bit of a transition phase. But judging on the Everton performance and the team selection, it is alarm bells are certainly ringing now. And I think, mate, he's got to pull out the stops against Wolves, and he's just got to do it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what everyone in the comments reckons. Moyes in or out, but
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I'm really hoping he can turn it around, mate.
Absolutely, mate. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.